Welcome back to Rattlesnake Workshop. Today I'm going to put this Pioneer back together. It's had 3 days now drying out since I gave it a good service and a good going over with deoxin. So it's been 3 days, so today I'm going to put it back together, and then at the end I shall put some speakers on it and we'll see if this vintage Pioneer SX434 is working. Because I have only had this Pioneer about a week, I bought it as non-working. It had a few problems, but I have been right through it. I did find some problems with it and it has had a full service. I did video all that, so if you're interested, them videos are already on the channel where I'm stripping this Pioneer down, fault finding on it and then giving it a good deoxin. So them videos are already on the channel. So today I'm going to put it back together and then try it. Because I haven't heard this Pioneer yet, I am still not 100% sure that it is working. I think it might be, but I don't know for definite. So at the end of this video we shall find out if this nice vintage Pioneer is back working or still has some problems. So first of all, I'm going to get this plate that goes along the pots and the switches, and I'm going to put that back on and then try and slide this board back into place. Now it's a bit fiddly, this board, because the wires on it are very tight. There is not a lot of slack, so I'm going to be careful with this board and try and just push it back enough to get the pots back down into the chassis, and then it all slides forward and should be in place. I think there it's a little bit tight on this end, so I might be better. I'm going to put the plate where it should go first. I think it'll be easier, so I'm going to take that plate back off and put it down into the chassis first, and then it should just be a bit easier and give me a bit more room to slide that board with the pots on back into place. So now that plate is back where it should be, let's see if I can slide the board in. It's just really tight on all the wires, and once it slides forward, the heatsink on the back, it like drops down into a cutout in the chassis, so then it will locate itself properly. So you've just got to slide it forward enough, and there you go, that went then, that dropped straight into place. So let's get some screws in it while it's nicely in place. So I just get myself a small Phillips bit, and then there is 3 little screws here. So I just checked that I've got a Phillips bit that fits them screws nice, and yes, that one is good. And then let's put the little screw in. So if you lift the plate up, the screw will locate in the hole, and I'll just put them in loose, all the 3 screws, and then tighten them up after. So I'll just do the same with the screw on this end. Just lift the plate up into place, locate the screw into the hole and just tighten it up loosely. So that one's in, so let's just do the same with the one in the middle. Just put a little screw in and just tighten it up loose. So that one's gone in, so that is the 3 screws that hold the plate on back in. So next there is 2 screws that go either side of them 4 switches. So I should put them in next. So I'll just get the little screws and then we should put them ones in. So that's the first one located. So I shall tighten that one up and then move across and put the one in the other side. So I'll just get the little screw and then pop it in the other side and tighten it up, and then the switches will be secured back in place. So I just tighten that one up, and then I shall tighten the other three up that I put in a moment ago. Just nip them up nice and tight, and then this front panel is nicely back in place. So I just tighten up that last one on the end, and then I shall turn the receiver round and put the screws in the heatsink. I'll turn it round so you can see what I'm doing, because I need to put the screws back in the heatsink, which bolts the heatsink to the chassis. Because I took the heatsink out. You can do this another way, get to the pots, but you have to disconnect the little transistors that are on the heatsink. Now, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to disturb everything. They are all nicely seated on that heatsink, so I thought it's easier to take the whole heatsink out, and then I'm not disturbing anything. And I do think that is a better way of doing it, because there is little bits of insulation behind them transistors where they bolt on the heatsink, and I have done it that way before, and it is quite fiddly getting the little bits of insulation back into place and getting the screws through them and that. So last time I done one of these Pioneers, I done a bigger one, and I done it this way so I didn't disturb anything, and I just thought it was a better way of doing it. That's why I've done it this way this time. So let's get you right in now so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just putting these screws back into the heatsink. There's just screws that go along now and bolt the heatsink to the chassis. And you can see them little transistors there, the black bits with the screws on. You can unscrew them and just take the board off and leave this heatsink in place. But it is fiddly getting that back together because you've got to line all the little bits of insulation up and all that. I just think this way is a much easier way of doing it. Although, to do it the other way, if you disconnect the transistors, you don't have to lift up that board that's there with the fuses in it. You can leave that one in place. But that's only one screw and a couple of clips to lift that board, and then the heatsink comes out. But if you do it the other way, you can leave that board in place and just unscrew the transistors. So there's one more screw on the end here, and it's a little bit buried down in the wires, so I'll just get the camera in now to show you where that other screw is. And that's it, see, the heatsink is bolted down into place. So just make sure it's on there nice and tight. So I'll just run back along all the screws, make sure they're tightened right up. And that's it then, the heatsink is back in place, the board's back in place, and although it was a little bit tight on the wires, it's not that bad to take that board out. So next I shall put this little board back into place. Now this board, it just pushes down on three little plastic clips that lock it into place, and then there is one screw that goes in it that secures it. So again, this board is only a bit fiddly because there is no slack on any of the wires. So just be careful that you don't trap or put too much tension on any of the wires when you are putting this little board back in. So that's it just goes onto them little white clips there, push it down and you feel them lock into place. And then there is just one little screw to go in at this bottom corner, and that just secures the board into place. So that's it, I just tighten that screw up and then that board is back in place, and I just check the wires to make sure none of them are pulled really tight, but they all feel good. So that's it, that board is back in place nicely. So I'll just turn the receiver round again and we shall get on putting the bits back on the front. So I turn it round so you can see what I'm doing, put me little bits of foam underneath it, and then I shall move the camera and get you right in there, and we'll put the on-off and the headphone socket back in first. Now all this on-off does is push through the faceplate and then the locking nut goes on it. Now I took this on-off switch out because there was a problem with it, and I had to really clean it as well because it had all like yellow sticky oil over it, so that is why I took the on-off switch out. I did not need to, just to deoxin it. If there'd been no problem with the on-off switch, I could have left it in. So that's the nut back on that. I just put the nut and the little washer back on the headphone socket, and then I shall get my spanner and tighten them two up. So just tighten up the on-off, and then tighten up this headphone socket. So that's it, that's tight. So I'll just get the nuts and the washers and put them on the fronts of all the pots. So I do all four of these. Little washer goes on first. So get the little washers on, and then there's a little nut that goes on the front of all of them. Now the two outside two have got them bigger brass nuts on them because they have another nut that goes on them. Once you put the faceplate on, they hold the faceplate on. But these nuts on the pots are behind the faceplate. So spin that one down, put the third one on, spin it down, and then do the last one and spin it down, and then I shall get me spanner and just nip them up so they are nice and tight. So get me little adjustable spanner, just tighten them up. They don't need to be really tight, just nip them. So that's that one tight, it's that one tight, third one tight, last one tight. Check the headphone, right, they're all good and back in. So let's get the little buttons and pop them back on. Now these buttons, they just rest on there. There is nothing holding them in place until you get the faceplate on. So you do find sometimes it might take a couple of goes doing the faceplate, because a lot of the time when you put the faceplate on, one of these little buttons will fall off. So you then have to take the faceplate back off, put the buttons back in place, then put the faceplate back on again. So it can take a couple of times, but sometimes it will just go on straight away. So let's see what happens today. Are the buttons going to fall off, or will the faceplate go straight on? See, that has gone straight on today, no problem. So it is easy enough to put the faceplate back on. It's just sometimes them little buttons, they do fall off. So let's get the little washers and get the nuts on. And that's what I'm saying, they go on the fronts of these little brass bits and it just holds the faceplate on. So it's the same, there's a little washer and a little nut just goes on these ones, and that holds the faceplate on, and then there is a couple of screws along the top that holds the faceplate on as well. So that's that one on. I shall get the other little nut and washer and put it on this side, and then get my little spanner again and just nip these two nuts up, and then I shall turn the receiver back over and put the couple of screws in the top of the faceplate, and then put the knobs back on, and then all it is to put the base plate on and put the lid back on, and then this Pioneer will be back together. We should put some speakers on it, plug my CD player into it, and to see what happens, see if this Pioneer is back in action or not. I'll just check the buttons now, because sometimes they can just jam, but they felt good. Sometimes they don't locate properly behind the faceplate, and then when you go to do them, they're not on there properly. But then they went on really good, them buttons. It's not normally that easy. One of them normally does fall off when you're doing it. So I'll just turn it over, and then there's two little screws go along the top here. one this side, so I'll pop that one in and then just tighten it up. And then there's another one in the same place just on the other side. So let's do the one on this side. Just put the little screw in and then tighten it up. So that's that one in. And then I'll just check them, make sure they are both nice and tight. Right, is that one nice and tight? Just check this one. Yeah, there you go, nice and tight. So that is all back on. So next I'm going to put the little knobs back on the front. So I'll put the tuner dial back on first. And this is the only big knob. All the others are exactly the same size. So I'll just push the one back on the selector. Next I shall put the one back on the volume. Just locate it in the right place and then push it on. So next is the balance. Now I've centered the balance pot, so I'll just line it up, push it on. Next is the treble, so I'll just line up the treble and push it on. Then this one is the bass, do the same, line it up, push it on. And then finally pop the one back on the on-off switch and the speaker select. So push that on and that's it. All the knobs are back on. The Pioneer is looking good. So I'll turn it over again and then we'll put the base plate on. And then all that leaves to put on after that is the nice wooden case that goes on the top. So let's get the base plate and put it back on. Now this just rests on there and then there is 8 screws that hold it on. There is 2 on every corner. So let's get the screws and just put them in the nice base plate. Now if this Pioneer is fixed, I'm going to have to buy something else to repair on the channel because I've got nothing else here that needs fixing. I have got a few things I've seen on the computer that I'm after, so I'm not sure. It might be a Sansui that I get next. I've got my eye on a Sansui that is not working, and also there is a Technics that I've found that is not working, so it will probably be one of them next on the channel. It will be a Sansui or a Technics. Or it could even be another Pioneer, because I have found a modern Pioneer for sale. Or not that modern, it's probably 10 or 15 years old. But it is not working, and that is only local. So I'm a little bit interested in the Pioneer, but I would prefer the Sansui or the Technics I've got my eye on, because both of them are proper old vintage ones. So I'll have to see what I get next, because I do need to buy something, because at the moment I've got nothing else to do on the channel. I have got stuff to do on my other channel, because I need to have a night in with that little rotel that I've just repaired and run through that with a few different sets of speakers on it and stuff. Plus this Pioneer, if it is working, I'll have a night in with this and go through this with a few different sets of speakers. And I have got a few amplifiers of my own that work that I can do little reviews on and all that. But for this channel I need to buy something that I can bring back to life. So I've just turned the Pioneer back over. Now the base plate is all screwed on properly, and all that is left to do is put the nice old wooden casing back on it. And it is nice, the casing on this Pioneer, the grain on it and everything. It's lovely, this casing. This is one of the nicest ones I've seen in a long time, this case. It really is a nice case. So the case just slides under a lip on the faceplate. It's got a little lip on it. It slides in at the front and the back just rests down. And then there is 2 screws this side and 2 screws the other side. Now if this Pioneer is working, I am really looking forward to listening to this, because I've never had this 434 before. I've had loads of other old vintage Pioneers. I've had a lot of this SX range before, but I've never had this one. So I'm really looking forward to getting this going, because if it sounds as good as the other ones that I've had before, this should be a really nice receiver. So I'll just turn it round and then put the last two screws in the other side, and then this Pioneer is fully back together. And then I shall whack some speakers on it, plug my CD player into it, and then see if we can get any sound out of it. So hopefully this Pioneer will be working. But if it isn't and it's still got problems, at least it will give me something else to do on this channel. But hopefully it will be working, and then I will just have to buy something else to repair in the Rattlesnake workshop. So let's just get that last screw in, tighten it up, and then the Pioneer is fully back together. And she does look nice, this Pioneer. Look at her, she is lovely, this Pioneer. I really hope this thing is working. I hope it sounds as good as it looks. Right, so now the Pioneer is nicely back together. I need to have a little tidy up, make some room so I can get some speakers up here, and then we shall connect it up, put a CD player into it and see if this Pioneer is working or not. So I'll just have a little tidy up, move all this lot out of the way, and then grab a set of speakers. So I'm going to put on it a set of Bowers and Wilkins solids. They're just sitting down beside me. They're only small, but they're a nice little set of speakers, so I shall bung them on it, and then we shall see if the old Pioneer is back in action. So I'll just get my first speaker and put it up on the table. There's that one up there, so let's grab another one and get it up there on the other side. I'll just grab a pair of speaker cables, and then we shall connect it up. So there's one, there's another one. So right, let's connect the speakers up. Right, so I'll do this one this side first. So I'll just undo the binding posts, and these cables just go through a little hole in the post and then tighten them up. So that's the minus done. Tighten it up nice and tight, 'cause you always want your speaker terminals done up nice and tight. So let's get the positive in now. Just goes through the little hole in the binding post and tighten it up. And there you go, that is that one connected. And these little speakers I've got here today, although they're called solid, they sometimes get called rock solid, but they are actually made by Bowers and Wilkins. They are a Bowers and Wilkins speaker, but they are called solid or rock solid. For some reason they were never sold as Bowers and Wilkins speakers, but they are Bowers and Wilkins. So I'll just connect up this other one, just do exactly the same, put the cables through the little holes in the binding posts and then tighten them up nice and tight. And you can see by the holes in the back of them binding posts there, these speakers will take the banana plug connection, so you can just put banana plugs straight in the back of these ones if you wanted to. So that's the red, nice and tight. Let's do the negative, or the black. Just do the same, tighten it up nice and tight. Don't really go silly with these connections, because you can snap these binding posts. Don't like get a spanner on them or anything like that. Just do them up nice and tight. So I'll just put that one back on the other side, and then we'll go round the back and connect them up to the receiver. turn that a little bit so I can see what I'm doing, and I can get you in there with the camera and show you what I'm doing. So as you can see on this Pioneer, it will take two sets of speakers, A and B, and on the front with a selector you can run speakers A, speakers B, or run all four, so you can run A and B together on this one. So I'm connecting these speakers up to speakers A. And I'm sorry for the shaky footage. I'm trying to balance the camera on my knees and do this. I'm sort of holding the camera in between my knees and doing this. So that's why it's a little bit shaky. Just tighten them up. That's all you need to do. And these little binding posts on the back of here, you can snap these quite easy. These are not as strong as the ones on the back of them speakers. These are only little tiny posts, so just nip these up. Don't go mad tightening them up on like one of these old amplifiers, because you can quite easily snap these little binding posts. I've done it before, got a bit carried away tightening them up, and I have snapped the post. So just do them nice and tight. Do not go silly with all your strength, because you just might snap these little posts. So that's the speakers connected up at the back of the receiver. So let's put a phono lead in it. Now this lead is going to my CD player in the cabinet there. So I'll just put it into the auxiliary. And you don't have to go in the auxiliary with a CD player. You could go into any input as long as you don't use the phono. All the others are the same, but the phono is different. So I'll just plug it in and let's switch it on, and then the Pioneer's got power going through it. So the moment of truth. Is this old Pioneer back fully working, or has it still got some problems? There's only one way to find out. Let's put a CD on and see what happens. So let's turn it on first to give it a bit of power. Right, so she's turned on nice. Bass is right down. Let's just set that to the middle. Now I want it on speaker A, which it is. That needs to be on auxiliary, so I shall turn that over to aux. Make sure the volume is right down. And there we are. The Pioneer is ready to go. So let's go over to the cabinet and power up my vintage Arkham CD player. So let's turn it on, give it a second to settle itself down, and then push play on the old Arkham. Right, so the Arkham is playing a CD, track 1. So let's go back to the Pioneer. Now I love this part because it's exciting. When you've repaired one of these amplifiers, it is exciting to turn that volume and see what happens. I'm only doing it low, but that is working. And that sounds crystal clear. So let's try the balance. Right, so that's balance on that side, it's working nice. Let's try balance on the other side. Right, that is the other side balance, and that is working nice. So the Pioneer is working, and it sounds nice. It sounds good actually, it really does. I'm only going to run that on low. I'm just going to leave that now for like half hour, 45 minutes, just running on low, just ticking away till it warms up nicely. That's all I'm going to do with it. Oh, so the vintage Pioneer is back in action, and it sounds really good, it does. So hopefully you won't see this Pioneer in the workshop anymore. but it will be on my other channel where I shall run through different speakers on it and we'll have a good look at this old Pioneer. So thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.